everyone, Voodoo here, and I am here today to talk kind of about, I don't know, like the state of Havoc on PTR. It's going to be a bit of like looking at logs, see how Havoc's doing, but also talking about how Havoc hasn't really gotten anything done to it, right? There's a lot of issues, well, not a lot, but there are issues that are present with the spec that just aren't touched. So we're going to talk about Raid, Mythic Plus, and then we're going to go over a post by, I guess, friend of the channel, Hawk. He's one of the top demon hunters in Raid in the world. Very, very nice guy, very good player. Loves Surf's Up, which is a great movie. Yeah, so with that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're pushing for 15,000 subscribers. We are, I believe, we're like 300 away or so, which is super close. And with that, let's get on to it. Okay, so we're gonna look at Raid first, and it's by far the easiest thing to look at. So what we see here, oh, wait, what the hell happened? Sorry, I didn't look at this fight. I don't know what the hell this person's doing. I did 11 million. Anyways, I imagine some weird shit. This is a document showing all the logs from 11.2 PTR testing by these people. Shout out to them. And what we have here, and I will link this, is it basically is all the heroic testing and all the mythic testing, all publicly available logs. We'll post this, and you can kind of basically see like a breakdown. So what we can see here is 90th percentile how things are doing. Now there's heavy grains of salt here. Lots of specs are bugged. Lots of people don't know how to play properly on PTR. There's lots of like UI problems people have. They have weird UIs. There's no timers. There's nothing like that. So this is a very incomplete picture. It's very hard to get a full like knowledge base about what's happening here. It also is not all players. It's a fairly small sample size, realistically, because a lot of people can't test, don't want to test. Testing happens at like, it starts at like noon Pacific or something like that, 2 o'clock for most times Eastern, which is crazy. Most people are working still. So there's a lot of things here that mean this is an incomplete picture of balance. But what we can see is some trends and some early like ideas about how specific specs do. So we look over here. This is basically, I guess we'll scroll over. This is essentially how things are laid out, and it's organized 90th percentile. I'm not sure. I could probably sort it some other way, but I don't really like want to do that right now. We're looking at 90th percentile. This is on the first fight. Pretty much single target. Havoc's pretty good. We'll see a general trend here where Havoc is looking solid, but is behind a few other specs, just in general. And of course, like there is also the thing where if you're a lesser represented spec, you're probably a little worse too. Like RIP survival. So Havoc first fight, pretty decent. Second fight, we are boosted up by this random ass 11 million DPS log. I have no idea how this happened. I might take a look at this after and just see, but that's crazy. But still pretty good. Even if you remove that, we'd still be like the top third, basically. And that's kind of the trend. This is a huge cleave fight for Havoc. This is like, we'd be looking really good here. This is the third boss, Soulbinder, where all the ads spawn in the middle. Havoc, pretty good here as well. Forge Weaver, again, is a pretty good cleave boss. Havoc looks pretty decent. This is a really good ranged fight, and a really good fight for things that can multi-dot. So, not Havoc strength, but it is a cleave fight, which Havoc is pretty good at. Soul Hunters, again, council fight. Havoc's solid, top third again. Fractalus is pure single target. Again, we see Havoc in the top third, which is nice. And then Nexus King, Havoc, again, top third. Mostly single target with some cleave, 2 target, and some ad phases. So, looking at all the mythic testing here, and some of the heroic testing, I guess we can go back and look at heroic as well. This is over like multiple different weeks, so Forge Weaver, Soul Hunters, Fractalus, Nexus King, Sentinel, Lumathar, Soulbinder, etc. So most cases, except for just Heroic Sentinel, Havoc is in like roughly the top third to top quarter of the chart, which is a pretty good place to be for Raid. From like Sims and stuff, this is roughly where I'd expect Havoc to be as well. Obviously, Sims are very much not like reflective of actual raiding content. So I expect Havoc to be pretty good in Raid. I think most Raid people will bring you for a fight. Some fights might have 2 Havocs, right? Like if Soulbinder is particularly hard, it's a great Havoc fight. Forge Weaver, you could have multiple. Nexus King, I believe, will have multiple because it splits. Same with the last fight. It depends on your raid comp, of course, but any fight that has you split sides, generally there are 2 Havocs brought just for buff coverage, if Havocs are good. But we see him in a solid place for Raid, which I like. There's a lot of DPS like build wise balance. I did make a video. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it clickbaity in general, so I've changed the title. Apologies to anyone who was upset by that. Again, not my plan. But there is a lot of balance between those 2 builds. Now there are a ton of bugs with everything. We just found out the other day that Eldrazi Reaver in game isn't getting the tier set on the second hit from Fierce Throws Glaives, which is like a like 100k DPS loss, which makes sense why it's being worse in game than it is on Sims. But we have reported that, hopefully that will get fixed. And there's just kind of that stuff everywhere. So, you know, raid balance is iffy, but there's a lot of build diversity. There's a lot of different like profiles in this raid that Havoc is pretty good at. And altogether, we're tanky, we bring darkness, we're very mobile. So I think Havoc's gonna be pretty good in raid for next season. Now for Mythic Plus, I don't have anything cool like this to look at, so we're gonna just try and do our best here and just go through some stuff. Okay, so first things first, this is gonna be weird, but we're gonna look at 2 Shad videos, just like final rate, like final fucking overall damage. Sorry for the swear word. Big shout out to Chad. He's a wonderful person. Go check him out. I will link his video in the bottom here. But pretty much, Havoc seems pretty good. Now, of course, Shadrack is just the best Havoc Demon Hunter in the world right now at Mythic Plus. So how he's doing might be a little not as representative of how everyone else will do. But Havoc's damage seems pretty decent. We have good funnel. So this is him in a Streets 15. See here, doesn't get beat by the Frost. Oh, sorry, doesn't beat the Frost, but is, you know, respectable in terms of damage. We go here and look at the end here as well on Soleil's Gambit. Pretty much the same, high damage. Again, Frost is broken pretty much. And then what I did is I went on to Warcraft logs and I looked through all the ones that said all Havoc Demon Hunters. Most of these don't actually have a Havoc in them, which is really funny. But we can see that across a lot of different like Warcraft logs, we have different results, right? Havoc did really good here, really bad here, pretty good here, pretty even here, pretty even here, pretty even here. And just in general, Havoc, from what I've seen, actually I didn't continue with these are vengeance ones. It's a weird thing. Havoc, from what I'm seeing, is good, but I think it's going to operate in a similar tier to how it is this tier. It brings really, 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 really good funnel, right? It is one of the best funnel specs in the game. It gets even better if you're playing Eldrazi Reaver. Are these people playing Eldrazi Reaver? I didn't actually check. Translate it. They are. What about you? Lazy Lodari. They are as well. Yeah, a lot of Eldrazi. Eldrazi is going to be very good because of all the funnel. Fel's going to be good if there's no funnel needed, really. And Havoc brings that really strong niche. Now, I think one of the big things is that it's overall is good, but isn't as competitive as some other players. I've seen Hunter do a lot. I've seen Frost Knight do a lot. I think Arcane Mage is still really good and Boom Mage is still really good. But we kind of sit in the tier right below some of those specs. And of course, I think a lot of them did just get nerfed recently. Not Death Knight, but the Hunter specs and Boom Mage just got nerfed. So obviously that makes us a little better. But we're in a spot where our overall damage is really good, but our utility is not great, right? Like we don't bring a lot. And it's really weird for us to fit into a comp. So one of the big things, I don't know why I moved this, is that the Monk Mythic buff touch change 5% to 8%. 8% is huge. This is a huge gain for Havoc because, again, when you are Eldrazi Reaver, so much of your damage is physical, including Immolation Aura, because a Fire Inside talent turns it into physical chaos, which does get the 8% damage buff instead of the 3%. So you bring a lot of physical damage and you want Monk buff. The problem is that you bring a magic damage buff. So if you're in a physical comp, which is a thing that could happen because of how powerful Mythic Touch is now, if you're in a physical comp, you're not really buffing your allies. But if you're in like a magic comp where you are the buff giver, you're not really getting Mystic Touch, which is kind of a weird place for us to be. We are a physical we're a magic spec that deals a lot of physical damage because of our hero talent and because of a Fire Inside and physical chaos, stuff like that. So we want Mystic Touch, but the other specs that also want Mystic Touch don't want Chaos Brand. So that's why buffs suck. I think they should just be removed from Mythic Plus. But it puts us in a weird spot where I think there is a case for us to be put in a physical comp if they need funnel, because Havoc does bring the best funnel. But we're in a weird spot where our damage is good. I think we're going to operate kind of in a similar tier we are now, in like an A tier. But we're kind of in like torn between two worlds here, where we bring a magic debuff and thus want to be with magic damage dealers. We benefit more from the physical damage buff, thus want to be in a physical comp. So it kind of pulls you in two sides, which is quite strange. So overall, raid, we're looking pretty good. Mythic Plus, we're looking fine, like solid, like similar tier to this tier, where, you know, Shad's doing like 1 key level below top level keys. But I don't think we'll be meta, which, by the way, I have a whole rant about this that I'm not going to do right now, but the God Comp ruined the game. because people think you need to do the exact meta comp now to do keys, which isn't really the case. It was just the case for that one season. It's not really the case anymore, but it's like ruined perspective. Anyways, another time people want to see that. But we're in a weird spot where Mythic Touch we want, but we're probably not going to get benefit from. So it's a bit of a weird place. But yeah, I made a horrible joke in the last take, so we're going to try this again. So this is the Havoc PTR feedback that Hawk did. Again, great guy, huge help in the Havoc Discord. Really, really, really good Havoc Demon Hunter, one of the best in the world in Raid. I don't know if he does dungeons, but very, very good player. Very, very chill guy. Loves Surfs Up and Chicken Joe, which you got to respect. So he has gone through and made a post about Havoc PTR feedback. Now, Havoc and Vengeance by extension are the only class in the game that haven't really gotten anything new going into next patch. Vengeance did get some unannounced talent tree position changes, which don't actually change anything, so I'm not really going to make a video on it. But that's it. Other than like a tier set nerf, there's actually been no notes about it. Now, I think partly because of that is because we will be getting a new spec soon, so a lot of changes being wrapped up there. But there's a lot of stuff that Havoc could use change-wise. Okay, I don't know who these people are. But there's a lot of things that Havoc could use change-wise that, would feel better. I think the inertia change on Fellblade is pretty weird. Mount Chaos Rots, Cycle of Hatred has been fixed to not stack on, to not reset on key start, but does on boss pull rate, which is weird. But like the cycle stuff is weird. Like, why doesn't it just be 20 seconds? There's a lot of weird timing with multiple resets of fire inside in a row, which just isn't really doesn't feel good because you're just sitting there pushing the same button over and over and over again. Initiative is weird. First strike clause, isolated prey just turns off. There's other targets. Know your enemy and counter disposition, 4 points, the capstone bracket, and they're so powerful you have to take them. Inertia just can store infinitely, which is weird. Although I believe you can ask 12. I believe they changed that. And there's just Scream Brutality is way too strong. Hunt does nothing. There's a lot of talent nodes that do nothing. Blade Tempest and Fell Barrage just don't do anything. Essence Break and Sweep do nothing in AoE. There's just a lot of tuning, a lot of talent issues, not to mention the hero talents that have problems, and Havoc is just kind of languishing a bit. So I think that's a bit of a blemish on it. I think overall it will be pretty it'll be like this season, but with a more powerful tier set next season, which is something. But there's nothing really new happening, and there's still problems with the spec, which I think is definitely a knock on its state of Havoc for 11.2. In terms of viability, we seem decent, right? We seem pretty good. But in terms of spec changes, there's nothing. So obviously unfortunate. I'll link this whole post down below if you want to read it, but I figured I'd mention it. There we go. That is it for the video. I just wanted to go over kind of PTR testing, raid testing, what I could find for Mythic Plus. There's a lot. Mythic Plus is hard to get a read on as easy. I did a lot of research into this, watched a lot of stuff on PTR, looked at a lot of logs. So take my word for it. And then also the Hawk stuff where nothing's really happened, right? And I agree with him. There's a lot of things that really should change, I believe, that make it better. But we're just kind of languishing here a little bit, which is, is what it is. Now, we did get good changes last patch. Not a ton, but they were good changes. But I think there is still a lot of work to be done. And hopefully this will come whenever Demon Hunter gets the third spec, because there will be a lot of stuff done to the class in general to accommodate that. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully, obviously, we're not just sitting here and languishing forever. So that's how Havoc's looking. Obviously, we'll do a more an update later on. I talk about should you play Havoc and whatever, but seems like Havoc will be in a good spot this season. And if you played it this patch, it'll play pretty much the same next season. So you don't go about relearning everything or anything crazy like that. So hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below what you think about Havoc. What do you want to see? Are you happy with where its performance is? That kind of thing. And obviously comment to spread the video and subscribe to grow the channel. Again, we're so close to 15,000. Hopefully we can make it before even the season launches at this point, but we'll probably make it for the end of the year. So I just want to say thanks early. So hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time. Peace. A big thank you to everyone watching my videos, but especially to my channel members. Thank you, Alexander Trifunovic, Rukaza, Fear Redefined, Loose Change, Jorge Polanco, Matthew Barr, Zuligan, Chocobo Merc, Gabriel Correa, Matchman 133, and Falafadar and Dark Terror. Thank you so much to everybody. If you want to join and support me in making videos, consider following the link below. I will be adding more perks to this over the summer as I get more time, including a log review, which isn't available right now. But again, I do appreciate everybody just supporting me and watching the videos. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Peace.